Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino dissects all the negative comments he received on his Lies of P boss ranking video. Whenever a boss ranking hits 100k views, we celebrate by roasting some of the comments, whether they're negative toward me or the game, or sometimes they're not strictly insulting but just weird, or something I want to make fun of or respond to for another reason. So we got a mixed bag here, let's get into it. Christopher Thomas Leher writes, "Why is this dude just randomly sitting on the side? TF, laugh emoji. My man has never seen a stream before. I used footage from my streams for all the boss fights, which include my webcam on the left side of the screen, and I'm getting the sense that this guy just stared at it the whole video with question marks materializing above his head like, who's this random guy in the corner? Does Lies of P just have a real-life dude in it who pops up on screen when you fight bosses? That's whack." To be fair, this is the only boss ranking where I've used stream footage instead of recording it myself separately, but like, you've gotta know that's a stream. There's an overlay and everything. Recent donators. This feels like having a birds and the bees talk with a 25-year-old. Someone should have really clued you in on this stuff sooner. The Axel Bardock writes, "How the hell did he not notice one of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood fellas is a girl? Laugh emoji. I mean, the keyword is brotherhood. If it was the Black Rabbit Sisterhood, I should reasonably expect to see some traveling pants. Boy characters are voiced by women all the time, more often than not actually, so hearing a female-sounding voice on someone I already assume is a boy due to the name of the clan doesn't really break me out of that supposition. It's also kind of a who cares thing, but then again, lots of people tripped over themselves during my early Kingdom Hearts streams to tell me Sabor, the cheetah from Tarzan, was a girl, so I guess it's something some people care deeply about. My theory in Sabor's case is that people who care about you misgendering cartoon animals do so because they're furries, so if you give the animals the wrong pronoun, you might be calling the dudes who want to fuck a cheetah gay, which would be the real crime." John Kamen 6274 writes, "Was watching till he said chode a million times. Another channel it is. As I said in the replies, this strikes me as chode behavior. I said chode and variations like chodier and chodely a total of 5 times in the video, which is a bit less than a million, but a bit more than most YouTube videos for sure. I guess there's just something about the repeated reference of a penis wider than it is long that made this guy uncomfortable, or perhaps insecure. Studies have shown that disliking Sunburned Albino content simultaneously shrinks and fattens your meat bone by up to 50%, and I'm afraid this guy is doomed to be just another statistic. For women, it results in smaller breasts, so if any ladies out there have chronic back pain, I might be the cure." Stefan Siegel 9788 writes, "Watched this to see whether I continue or call this game done for me. I freaking everything. The levels are amazing, the enemies in the levels great, but I so much hate the bosses. Took me 71 tries on the first boss, currently on 64 on the fire puppet Fuaco, and I guess this is it for me. An option to skip every boss would be so great." I'm not gonna hate on a guy for imperfect English, it generally means they're fluent in another language, but one thing I hope you are terrible at is numbers, because 71 tries on the first boss? Please be dyslexic and say you meant 17. That would still be too many, but my god, did we find the Cuphead journalist in the wild? Michael J. Fox could beat the Parade Master in less tries. Someone might have to superglue the controller to his hands, but I'd put money on him over this guy. 64 on Fuaco? Are you playing it on dance pad like an e-girl? Are you playing it on a PS5 controller you've owned for more than a year that subsequently has massive stick drift? I've honestly never heard of anyone being that bad at anything. That is truly impressive." Oyasumi Chansu writes, "They try too hard to copy FromSoft and have nothing new or creative besides art and setting. It's very disappointing." If you've never played the game, sometimes it's okay to keep your mouth shut to prevent sheer ignorance from spilling out. The blade and handle system, the weapon crafting, the lying mechanic, the buffs beget buffs P-organ system, guard rallying, boss auto HP regen, weapon durability management specifically against bosses, being able to break enemy weapons with perfect blocks, refreshable weapon buffs, mix and match fable arts, actually useful throwables, and much more would all be examples of things where they didn't just copy from software, if you paid any attention at all. Even the things they do take directly from established Souls games are put together in new ways, like a different blend of similar ingredients that makes the resulting cocktail all the more intoxicating, while improving on the existing mechanics. If Lies of P is disappointing, you're either not actually a Souls fan, or you just fundamentally don't understand what makes these games good. Caleb Decker writes, "I wasn't even remotely interested in this game, and I feel like this list completely justifies my opinion. Imagine if half of the bosses in a Souls game was just a refitted NPC. It looks so boring." I don't have to imagine that. I've played Sekiro and Elden Ring, where mini-bosses and mini-bosses show up multiple times with little to no difference between them, which I'm not even knocking. As far as NPC fights in particular, at least the ones in Lies of P are good, even if they aren't difficult. There's a smoothness and lack of jank or stilted animations that make Lies of P stalker encounters look way more cinematic and serious than invasion battles from the Souls franchise, and 60 FPS makes them look and feel better than Bloodborne's too. Also, half the bosses in this case refers to 6 or 7 out of 24 or 25, so I assume you took the short bus to remedial math classes. If this game looks boring but other Souls games don't, you should put on some different glasses or clean your eyeballs with lots of bleach. Vegapunked Studios 520 writes, "The green monster is the easiest of the bosses, not gonna lie." There's always that one guy that says that a boss who can by no possible metric of status or ability be the easiest boss is actually the easiest boss. The green monster of the swamp is a 2-phase, multi-health bar boss who causes decay buildup and hits like a truck. I ranked him as my 9th hardest boss in Lies of P, so he's not the most difficult thing that ever happened, but calling him the straight-up easiest when like 15 easier bosses exist turns you into that Tangled meme where there's 100 swords pointed at Flynn Rider's throat because his take was such an L. Puppet of the Future has 1 health bar and 4 attacks that you'd have to be asleep to get hit by. That boss is objectively easier than Green Monster. This might seem like a quibble, but I've been doing boss rankings for like 8 years, so you can imagine how many times people will just say something absurd like this and then disappear into the ether like a retarded ghost. User RM9FD4YL3T writes, "Thea Game really brought out the dorks who think they're cool because they beat a video game. Everyone who gave it a bad review got the get good losers crying on Theer video or review. 2023, a go of the internet weirdos that can finally be tough. Wait to see how many losers cry on this comment. The get good scrub incels." This dude was in a blind rage typing this, mashing multiple keys per stroke based on the amount of typos. Slow down, my guy, you're gonna bore a hole in your keyboard. There is no way someone seeing this much red with tears streaming down his face over a boss ranking is calling other people incels. This dude wrote all this and then motioned for his non-existent girlfriend to come over like, "Hey, look how based my comment is," and she was so impressed she sucked his dick right then and there for an hour. That's probably the kind of fantasy he lives in. For the record, only one loser cried on that comment, and it was while delivering a very measured and unbothered response of people can like what they like, essentially. I love the idea of people who are good at video games being incels, but the guys who bring it up out of nowhere and complain about it for no reason must be chads who hit the club and brag about roofing 3 girls a night. Let me know if you ever fuck a woman who's both sober and conscious, and I'll give you your props. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos with a glass eye and a nosebleed, and I'll see you guys next time.